Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Thousands of anti-racism protesters take to streets to counter far-right rallies in cities across the United Kingdom. 6,000 specialist police officers deployed to deal with further violence as over 100 events anticipated. In Bangladesh, interim government headed by Mohammad Yunus to take oath today. India's border security force reviews security situation and operational preparedness along the Bangladesh border. American singer Taylor Swift's concert in Vienna cancelled due to terror alert. Austria says a tragedy was prevented. 2 people suspected of plotting attacks in the concert detained. On the second leg of a 3-nation visit, India's president arrives in New Zealand, accorded a Royal Guard of Honour, highlights educational ties between the 2 nations at New Zealand International Educational Conference. India's Vinesh announces retirement from wrestling a day after she was disqualified for being overweight at the Paris Olympics. Thousands of demonstrators have taken to the streets in the United Kingdom after over a week of violent disorder. There had been fears of major outbreak of violence at dozens of locations. Thousands of police were on duty in the expectation of around 100 far-right gatherings. DD India's Ollie Barrett gets us more from London.
In many British towns and cities, there seem to be many more counter-demonstrators on the street than some of those members of the far right that had been expected by officials. Officials had been suggesting there could be as many as 100 far-right gatherings up and down the country, targeting potentially some sites that were listed on the internet, such as immigration and asylum-linked charities and organisations and legal services that were offered to people seeking asylum. In the event, it did seem that there were many more counter-demonstrators out who were saying that they were there to show that they are anti-racist and anti-fascist, and many of them held signs saying things like refugees are welcome. Before the expected protests and gatherings, the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner had warned against further violence, and she had said that if anyone was taking part in disorder, they should expect the full force of the law to be directed against them. The government will hope that some of the custodial sentences that have been handed out in the last 24 hours, including a 3-year prison sentence for one man convicted of attacking a police officer during disorder, the government will hope that that is now starting to act as a deterrent, but they will also remain on high alert in the days ahead. Ollie Barrett in London reporting for DD India.
In Bangladesh, the interim government, headed by Nobel laureate Professor Mohammad Yunus, will take oath on Thursday. The Nobel Peace laureate boarded a flight from Paris on Wednesday to return home. Yunus's return comes as he is set to take on a significant role as the head of the interim government following a meeting with President Mohammad Shahabuddin. 84-year-old Yunus was picked by President Shahabuddin to lead the new interim government, a key demand of the student demonstrators. Earlier, Bangladesh's military chief, General Waqar-uz-Zaman, in a televised address, has confirmed that Mohammad Yunus will take oath at a ceremony on Thursday night. He said the size of the government has not been finalized yet. Initially, some 15 individuals may take oath as the advisors of the interim government. However, 1 or 2 more individuals may be added. General Waqar hoped that the situation in Bangladesh will be normal within 3-4 days. He said those who were involved in the crimes committed over the past few days will not be spared and legal action would be taken against them. India is keeping a close watch on Bangladesh's situation. Director General of Border Security Force Daljit Singh Chaudhary on Wednesday reviewed the security and operational preparedness of the paramilitary forces along the Bangladesh border in Agratala. Director General of Tripura Police and DG Intelligence also attended the review meeting. Tripura shares an 856-kilometer-long border with Bangladesh. BSF DG applauded the tireless efforts of the state forces in safeguarding the border by preventing any kind of infiltration and trans-border crimes. Meanwhile, on the intervening night of 6th and 7th of August, the BSF, in a joint operation with Tripura police, apprehended 11 Bangladeshi nationals who had crossed over to the Indian side illegally. The government of Nepal is closely following the political developments in Bangladesh. In a statement, Ministry of Foreign Affairs said, and I quote, "We are deeply concerned about the loss of lives and property during the protests over the last few days in Bangladesh. We convey our sincere condolences and sympathy to the families of those who lost their lives and wished all those injured a speedy and full recovery. We call for calm and restraint by all and stress on the importance of orderly return to the democratic process. We are confident that the strong and resilient people of Bangladesh will be able to ensure a smooth transition towards peace and stability." The United States is insisting that a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas is in its final stages, despite fears of a wider regional war following the assassination of a top Hamas leader in Iran. National Security spokesman John Kirby said the U.S. was as close as it's ever been to ending the violence and releasing the hostages held by Hamas, even as Washington has moved planes and warships into the area to help defend Israel if necessary. DD India's Benji Haya reports from Washington on this.
The US's top diplomat, Antony Blinken, says the negotiations were at a decisive moment, and he urged everyone in the Middle East to understand the risk of miscalculation. He said Washington is engaging in intense diplomacy as it tries to prevent an escalation in the conflict after Iran threatened revenge for the killing of Hamas's political leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. But Hamas's new leader is the alleged mastermind of the October 7th attack on Israel, Yahya Sinwar, which could make the delicate negotiations even harder. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying Sinwar remains the crucial decider on the ceasefire deal, which would lead to an initial 6-week truce. Earlier this week, the White House said negotiations had reached a final stage in a readout of calls between US President Joe Biden and the leaders of Qatar and Egypt. But the administration did not give more details. The US has told Iran and Israel directly that regional fighting must not escalate further. Meanwhile, the US military's strengthened its assets in the region in case of a possible Iranian retaliatory attack on Israel and says it's ready to deploy more forces in the Middle East if necessary. In Washington, Benji Haya reporting for DD India.
American singer and songwriter Taylor Swift's 3 concerts in Vienna this week were cancelled after the government confirmed a planned terror attack at the stadium. Austrian police on Wednesday detained 2 people suspected of plotting attacks on concerts. Austria's Chancellor Karl Nehammer said that a tragedy was prevented. 3 Taylor Swift concerts were scheduled to take place in Vienna from Thursday to Saturday, with police expecting around 65,000 attendees each day. Argentine social organizations and left-wing groups marched through Buenos Aires, rallying against President Javier Milei's administration's austerity measures. Unemployment organizations and left-wing groups led a protest that began in a church in the west of the Argentine capital for improved wages and employment conditions. Demonstrators voiced their discontent over Milei's fiscal policies, which they claim have worsened the ongoing financial crisis. The rallies highlighted rising social unrest and the urgent call for government intervention to alleviate many Argentines' economic struggles. President Milei has introduced austerity measures in a bid to curb rampant inflation. These measures include significant cuts to state spending, reduction of subsidies, and downsizing of the public sector. Tropical storm Debbie is back over the Atlantic, where it is regaining strength and lashing the coast of the southeast U.S. The storm is expected to make a second landfall on Thursday on the South Carolina coast. At least 6 people have died in Florida and Georgia following the storm, which hit Florida's Gulf Coast on Monday as a Category 1 storm. Governors in the Carolinas, Florida and Georgia have declared a state of emergency. The storm has caused widespread flooding, washing out streets and inundating homes across the region. For the next couple of days, the storm is forecast to dump prolific amount of rain and bring life-threatening flooding along its path. Debbie has already turned roads into rivers and swamped homes. Deforestation in Brazil's Amazon rose in July, breaking a 15-month streak of falling destruction under President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. Preliminary government data showed on Wednesday amid a strike by environmental workers. Roughly 666 square kilometers of forests were cleared in July, 33% higher than the 500 square kilometers for the same month last year, as per the data. Amazon deforestation in July 2022 is more than double that of July 2024, according to the data from Government Space Research Agency. In the first 7 months of the year, Amazon deforestation totaled 2,310 square kilometers, a decline of 27% as compared to a year earlier. Amazon deforestation increased in February and March 2023, shortly after Lula took office. He took office in January 2023 on a pledge to end deforestation by 2030 after soaring levels of destruction under Bolsonaro. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Russian Baltic Fleet's Smolny warship came from Cuba, anchored at the port of La Guaira in Venezuela. The ship's arrival is part of an initiative to bolster bilateral ties between Russia and Venezuela, encompassing sectors like energy, tourism, agriculture and economics. This marks a new visit to its strategic ally amid the political turmoil in Venezuela following the presidential elections last week. Tunisian President Kais Saied sacked Prime Minister Ahmed Hachani on Wednesday and appointed Social Affairs Minister Kamel Madouri as his replacement. The dismissal comes amid popular discontent with the recurring water and electricity outage crisis in many parts of the country. Saied sees the water cuts as a conspiracy ahead of presidential election and says that the dams are full. Introduction of driverless technology in China is posing threat to employment. From robotaxis undercutting taxi fares to a driving school replacing hundreds of human instructors, robotaxis have taken over a large portion of short-distance trips in city areas, impacting drivers' incomes. As Marvel's latest film, Deadpool and Wolverine, has become one of the highest-grossing films of all times, now uncolored penciled cover artwork featuring Deadpool's first appearance in the comics is up for sale at Heritage Auction with a hefty $7.5 million price tag. If the auction succeeds, it will be the most valuable comic book art ever sold. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, stay with us as we get to the historical significance of the Quit India movement as the nation marks the 82nd anniversary of the movement. We also tell you ahead how India is preparing for its 78th Independence Day. Neeraj Chopra eyes a gold as he readies to compete in the men's javelin throw final.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. After concluding a successful visit to Fiji, President of India Draupadi Murmu arrived in Wellington, the capital of New Zealand, on the second day of her three-nation visit. The visit aims at boosting ties between the two nations. On her arrival, President Murmu was accorded a traditional welcome in line with Maori traditions at Wellington. She was invited for the hongi tradition, which includes clasping of hands. She also received the Royal Guard of Honour by a tri-service contingent of 100 New Zealand soldiers. President Draupadi Murmu attended New Zealand International Education Conference in Wellington and was presented with a memento that depicts the Maori art. Addressing the conference, President highlighted that India has made notable progress in the field of education and exchanges with New Zealand will further boost the ties between the two nations.
I am confident that the discussions and exchanges of this conference will pave the way for even stronger education ties. Heartfelt gratitude to Education New Zealand and to the Government of New Zealand for honouring India in such a special way. Let us continue to work together to build bridges of knowledge and understanding and for creating world leaders through our educational collaboration.
President Murmu held a meeting with Governor-General Dame Cindy Kiro of New Zealand. Both the leaders hailed the warm and friendly relations between the two countries and discussed cooperation across various sectors. Later, President Murmu also met New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Winston Peters. The Indian Meteorological Department predicted the possibility of heavy showers in the states of Himachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Assam and Meghalaya. The IMD predicted scattered to fairly widespread light to moderate rainfall over Kerala, Lakshadweep, Karnataka and isolated to scattered rainfall over Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. The weather agency also forecast heavy to very heavy rainfall in Assam and Meghalaya till 12th of August and in Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Mizoram and Tripura till 10th of August. 8th of August 2024 marks the 82nd anniversary of a pivotal movement in India's struggle for independence, the Quit India movement. Let's take a closer look at the historical significance of this movement, its impact and how it continues to inspire generations today. Here's a report by Kriti Vadera.
On August 8, 1942, the Indian National Congress under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi launched the Quit India movement, also known as Bharat Chodo Andolan. The call for immediate independence from British rule resonated across the nation, with Gandhi's clarion call, "Do or die," sparking a wave of civil disobedience that spread like wildfire. The Quit India movement was a turning point in India's independence struggle. Unlike previous campaigns, this was a mass uprising that saw participation from all walks of life, from students, farmers, women and children. It demonstrated the Indian people's resolve to achieve freedom at any cost. Stories of the freedom struggle are included in school curriculum in India to help younger generation learn about the freedom for independence. Special braille books make it easier for visually impaired children to learn about freedom fighters.
The word Quit India in itself speaks volumes. People of India wanted freedom and Swaraj at no cost. Nobody bothered about losing their lives. The only thing that motivated them was we will all join together and make our country free from the British yoke. Children of the age group of 8 and 20, they came out and they didn't care for their lives. What is important is how the common women came forward. Across our country, women who were in different age group, 15, 16, they all came out and they were part of the entire movement. The movement spearheaded not only in the urban areas, but even in the countryside.
Despite its non-violent roots, the movement was met with severe repression by the British authorities. Leaders like Gandhi, Nehru, Patel were arrested, and the British clamped down on press freedom. Yet the spirit of resistance could not be crushed.
The Quit India movement is a powerful reminder of how collective ideas can lead to success. Even today, it inspires us to stand up against injustice, violence, not just in India, but all around the world.
The Quit India movement was not just fight against colonial rule, it was a testament to the unbreakable spirit of Indian people. As we remember this day, it's important to reflect on the values of unity, resilience and the pursuit of freedom that defines this historic struggle. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. The Municipal Corporation of Delhi on Wednesday sealed the basement spaces of 10 coaching centres and libraries for violating building bylaws. The action comes days after the death of 3 IAS aspirants who were drowned after rainwater gushed inside the basement of a coaching centre in Delhi's old Rajendra Nagar. The MCD also issued notice to coaching centres and property owners for misuse of property and violation of building bylaws across Delhi. In Jammu and Kashmir, preparations are in full swing for the Independence Day celebrations in North India's Anantnag district. Students in various schools are preparing to celebrate the 78th Independence Day to be held on 15th of August. With just a few months left for Durga Puja festivities in India, demands for idols of goddesses increased manifold. Artists in Kolkata's Kumar Tuli are busy giving final touch to the idols of goddess Durga and Kali as they are ready to be sent across India and abroad. And now we get you all the updates from Paris Olympics. India's ace wrestler Vinesh announced her retirement from the sports a day after she was disqualified from the Paris Olympics. She was on the cusp of a gold medal in the women's 50 kg freestyle wrestling event, but she was disqualified after exceeding her weight by 100 grams during the morning weigh-in on Wednesday. Vinesh even lodged a protest at Court of Arbitration for Sport, challenging her disqualification. Vinesh, in a post on social media, said that wrestling won the final match against her. She lost, breaking all her courage. Having made her professional debut in 2001, the year 2024 was the last that saw her compete as a wrestler. And now we take a look at what all is lined up for India on the 13th day of the Paris Olympics. DD India's correspondent Narayan Singh has more from Ground Zero.
Today it could be a golden day for the Indian sports at the Paris Games, as Neeraj Chopra, the golden boy of the Indian sports, will be there in actions. In the qualification, he threw a tremendous throw of 89.34 meters and he topped the qualification as he did in the Tokyo, and against the hopes of more than 1 billion people pinned down to Neeraj Chopra. We know that Neeraj Chopra can defend his Olympic gold medal that he won in the Tokyo Games. We know that Neeraj Chopra is the current world athletic championship in the javelin throw. He won Diamond League. He won gold medal at the Asian Games. Neeraj Chopra has won everything. The journey and the achievements of Neeraj Chopra has inspired millions of budding athletes, and it has also revolutionized the Indian track and field scenario. And apart from the hockey team, they missed that semi-final spot by a whisker against Germany. They fought well. They were looking supremely confident in that match against Germany, but towards the end, when 6 minutes were left, Germany scored 1 goal and they won the match by a scoreline of 3-2. We can say that the reason of that defeat could also be the absence of Amit Rohidat, who was red carded because in the match against Britain, and because of that he was not playing that match, and it hampered India's defense system. India has a better head-to-head record against Spain and a better team than the Spain. And if we talk about regarding the hockey skills and the kind of hockey they played the best hockey of the tournament so far. The kind of hockey India played is so far in the tournament. Definitely, if they play that hockey and keep their defense intact, and we know that the philosophy of the coach Craig Fulton, a good defense is as good as a good forward. So they need to keep their defense very tight. If it goes right, definitely, I think again Indian hockey team win a bronze medal here. In golf, Diksha Dagar will be there and Aditi Ashok will be there. They will start their day 2. They started the day 1 on a fantastic note, and wrestling competition will be there. Anshu Malik will be there in her weight category, and Aman Sherawat, India's lone male wrestler, will be there. So we are hoping that they will just keep the disappointment of Vinesh Phogat's disqualification at bay and continue their campaign and win medal for India at the Paris Games.
All right, that's it in this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.